Okay, let's talk about picks. Now, these are also called plectrums, but most people just call them picks. There are many different shapes and sizes, but essentially they're this teardrop shape, and you hold the wider part, and the smaller part points towards the guitar and plays the strings. They come in different thicknesses, which are measured in millimeters. So this one is about 1 millimeter thick. That is towards the heavy end of the medium spectrum. And this one is 1.38 millimeters. This is by a brand called Jim Dunlop. This is a Jazz 3, and the Jazz 1s and 2s are slightly less pointed. Now, depending on what style of music you're playing and what you're doing on the guitar, different picks will be more suited for different jobs, although you can pretty much use anything with any style of music to a certain degree. So this is the standard one, and when you're holding it, it's really important that you do not hold it like this. You must hold it on the side of the fingertip, and then the thumb comes down, and it should feel a bit like writing with a pen. And the motion with the arm must be very relaxed. Some people will tense up in the right shoulder if they're playing too much. Sometimes they'll tense in the left shoulder, and you get this sort of hunched over kind of goblin position. So you need to be really relaxed and just have the hands like this. So the pick will change angle on the strings depending on which way you're going. So when you're playing down, the pick will be in a downward motion at an angle of around 30 degrees. And when you come up, rotate the wrist slightly and the pick will be just over 90 degrees. If you remember the Karate Kid film where he was painting the fence, that up and down motion like that, you want a nice movement on the wrist. It's got to be relaxed, like this. So that's a standard pick. Now, for more intricate and detailed guitar playing, you might want to use a smaller one. So these are the ones I use. It's called a jazz pick because generally in jazz playing you'll have thicker strings on for a slightly fatter sound, and back in the older days of jazz they didn't really bend the strings, so it was okay to use a thick one. So the more pointed tip gives a bit more fine control and a bit more detail when you're playing faster notes. Also, if you want to hit the strings harder, like for a rock or a heavy metal type thing, you want a bit more substance in the pick. If you're playing a lot of strumming, then a thinner one is better, and it has a little bit more give, so it's a smoother movement. But as a trade-off, because it's a bit more bendy, when you play, it doesn't quite translate the movement exactly. There's a slight delay on leaving the string compared to where your hand was. So if you're playing simple things like this, take one with a little bit of give on it. If you want to be hammering out the notes, maybe use a thicker one. It gives a bit more solid sound, and the more pointed tip gives you a bit more control and a bit more accuracy in your playing as well. So there are many different shapes. Some are triangular. There are some crazy new ones, but they're generally all made of plastic. This is nylon, and this is probably celluloid. Other types of pick are made from wood, there's some made from metal and bone, and for ukuleles there are some made of felt, but they're just a little bit more niche, and what I recommend is these are quite cheap, so get lots of these, and you're going to lose them as well. Much like biros and socks, you can buy a whole bundle of them and you'll be left with just a handful at the end, so buy quite a few. A good place to keep them is in your jeans, the little pocket that's here. You can hide some in there, that will survive the washing machine. Put a couple in the guitar case, put some in your wallet, and then if you're out and about, you should have one available.